Hi, I wanted to just talk about the disconnect between male and female sexual pleasure. I just think this is an important subject because there are a lot of messages going around in media which can sometimes just be misleading, basically. And I think it's important to talk about all these subjects which are considered taboo so that we can break these taboos and we can all learn. We can all learn something new. We can choose to do things differently. Hopefully, the main reason is hopefully to bring about a better society. That's the fundamental bottom line. So, the disconnect between male and female pleasure. This is like quite summarized. I don't claim to have all the information on this. Like, there's lots of research out there. But my take-ins on this is that a lot of it comes from society, conditioning, patriarchy, just the messages that we've been fed from childhood, as we're growing, what we see in media, in films, in movies, in porn. The messages essentially are that female pleasure is secondary to that of men, and it is important that we break this narrative down and start to change it, because I think so much will come when we get this right. So I think that fundamentally men do want to give pleasure, right? They do want to pleasure a woman sexually. I think that what the problem is that the messages that we've been taught have been so ingrained in both women and men that we now further exacerbate, we make worse the messages. So for example, women will make it worse by agreeing to or acting like things are working for them when they're not. They'll do this because for various reasons. Some reasons are because that's just how it's done. That's what we believe to be true. We think this is how it should be because these are also the messages that we've learned. We've never really been encouraged to explore that side of us. So sometimes people just don't actually know what works. So we're just going off what we see and what we believe to be true. And then there's also the fact that a lot of women feel like they can't actually say, and there's various reasons for that as well. And then I think that men make the problem worse because they are also, it's just conditioning and it's been ingrained in them to almost bypass, dismiss and ignore pleasure. I feel like they're not trying to do that. It's just that the pleasure that they believe that they are given is just misinformed. It's just not. It's not actually true. It's not actually what's right. It's what you've learned and what you've been told, but it's not actually the right way. So I think it's important to talk about what's happening when women do speak up and are open about what works for them, and what might be happening with guys. So I think sometimes when women speak up about what's working for them, they can be it can be shut down, they can be dismissed, they can be gaslighted. Now all of this sounds really dramatic, but it happens very subtly, and in comments, and then it becomes, obviously because of previous condition, it becomes very difficult then to keep speaking up. Sometimes there's just this kind of whole vibe almost of, I know better, what you're telling me maybe you don't know, and actually this is something that you do like almost, which is borderline dangerous because that can open up a whole other can of worms and lead on to almost a little bit rapey culture. We don't want to go down that road. I shouldn't laugh, it's very serious. But the point is that I think that this kind of wanting to be in control from men there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because that kind of energy of taking control, being a lead, having that assertive aggression, are the same qualities that women want from men in life in general, not just sexually. So it's normal if that happens in the bedroom. It's just, I think, important that you are aware of the intention behind that. And I think that that's where it gets a bit skewed sometimes. Sometimes the intention behind taking control is ego-based and potentially fear-based. So there's maybe some kind of insecurity that's trying to be filled at that point, which it skews the whole kind of energy of the situation. The intention behind taking control in the bedroom should always be to open up the dimension of pleasure, and that's kind of the route that you want to be going down, for this to work really properly. So yeah, I think it's important sometimes, if you're in that situation, guys, to ask yourself the questions: where are you coming from with this energy? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Why are you even engaging in this act? And be honest, because it could be a transactional situation, and then that's different, as long as obviously it's mutual and consent. But if it's not, then you're potentially missing the mark. And it's important to get this right. I think it's important for women to connect to themselves and to be really honest about what works for them. Do that separately and away from the dynamic, so you can genuinely be really honest with yourself. And then it's about changing those messages and then gaining that confidence to be able to then express that. And I think it's important to actually see other messages out there that kind of allows you to feel like it's okay to express that. It not even that it's okay to express that, but what you're expressing is okay, because we don't see that so much out there. It's almost like, what I like and what works for me, is that even normal, and is that even okay? Because that's not what we see out there in media. Now that there's so much more of that, it's like, actually, yeah, this is it, and I can see it out there, and actually I'm okay with expressing that, because that's I'm confident in being in what works for me.